Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years we've been asking you for entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Chris Adkins, the vice president of franchise development for the UPS store, and also Michael Phillips, franchisee to the UPS store. And over the years, the UPS store has received the following accolades: #1 Postal and Business Services franchise in Entrepreneur Magazine's Franchise 500 for 20 years and counting. More than 30 years of franchising experience, nationally advertised brand, and more than 4,300 locations nationwide. And we're going to talk to Chris and Michael about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com. Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment, and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs along one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Chris Adkins, the vice president of franchise development for the UPS Store, and also Michael Phillips, franchisee to the UPS Store. Hey, Chris. Hey, Michael. How you guys doing today? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Doing fantastic.
Oh, that's wonderful. Chris, we always like to ask where our guests are calling from today, so I'll start with you, and then I'll go to Michael.
Marty, I'm calling from the UPS Store corporate headquarters in San Diego, California.
That's fantastic. So I guess I don't have to ask you how the weather is there, right?
It's the same every day.
It sure is. How is yourself, Michael? Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from my store. It's inside the Baltimore Marriott Waterfront Hotel.
Oh, fantastic. That's nice. Well, how's the weather there? Is it getting a little better?
Much warmer. It's raining,
Good.
but much warmer than it's been.
But it's not snow, though, right, Michael?
But we'll keep our fingers crossed. I think we're past that point.
Exactly. That's fantastic. Well, you know what? Chris, we had you on the show once before, and I'm glad you mentioned you would come back on the show and you would bring a franchisee with you. So I'm glad that you're back today. Maybe we could talk about, for our new listeners, you can talk about the history of the UPS Store, because I've always thought that the UPS Store has a very interesting history.
It does. It has a very interesting history. As our listeners may or may not know, the UPS Store is the largest franchisor of retail shipping, postal, printing, and business services. We started in 1980 as mailboxes, etc.
Right.
And it was really billed at that time as a convenient alternative to the post office. Mm-hmm. That business grew and flourished. And in 2001, a big company named UPS recognized the value of that company and acquired mailboxes, etc. In 2003, the two companies came together and introduced the UPS Store brand. And as you know, our centers right now they're 100% franchise centers, all locally owned and operated. And we continue to offer the same variety of shipping, freight, postal, digital online printing, document and business services, convenient locations in communities around the U.S., and always our world-class service.
Hey, you talk about a powerful brand name, as you were saying earlier, Chris. I mean, how much more powerful of a brand name do you get than the UPS Store, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I guess there's some other brands out there that we all recognize as world-class, but they're not really in this industry. So,
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Michael, maybe you could tell me a little bit about yourself, and I want to go back to Chris. If you could start, a little bit about your background and history with the UPS Store, I think that would be great.
Well, my background, prior to joining my first franchise, I was a U.S. Army officer for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Serving units like the 82nd Airborne Division, 2nd Armored Division. I was an officer, did a lot of logistics and a lot of planning.
Right.
My first store I opened in 1993. In the Capitol Hill part of D.C., Washington, D.C. Since then, I've gone on. I've opened I bought an existing store we call a transfer store, and I've opened 4 new stores.
Wow.
All of them are special venues. So I now have 6 total stores, 4 of which are in Washington, D.C., and then 2 in Baltimore, Maryland.
That's fantastic. And you're being modest too, Michael. I mean, I know over the years you've won numerous awards, haven't you? With UPS Store. So I think that's fantastic, and I want to congratulate you for that. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Did you find it an easy transition, Michael? I mean, going from the military to a franchise system, specifically like the UPS Store, which has a very strong system.
Yes. Again, one of the units I was in was 82nd Airborne Division. One of those jobs, I was a air movement operations officer for an entire infantry battalion. Mm-hmm. So I had the responsibility to plan and execute moving the entire infantry battalion in 18 hours. So 700 men, all the vehicles, all the equipment, put them on planes, fly them around the world. So it was easy to come in and initially move 10 or 15 boxes, and now with my hotel stores, I might move 10 or 15 pallets. So easy transition.
I imagine so. Chris, how about your background? I don't think I've ever even asked you, when I had you on the show the first time, I mean, how did you get involved with the UPS Store?
Well, I was not an Army officer, I can tell you that, but we certainly appreciate our franchisees like Michael, that are veterans.
Absolutely.
I started with UPS in 1984 while I was in college. I started on the UPS side.
Oh, wow.
If you the stories of UPS, the typical story of loading trailers and all those kind of things, and spent 27 years with UPS, most of that in sales, managing large contracts with and selling large contracts to large shippers and logistics. And then in 2011, I had the opportunity to join the UPS store as Vice President of Franchise Development, and it was really good. I thought I had the opportunity to leave UPS without really leaving UPS and go into something new and different. So it's been an exciting 3 years, and our growth rates are back to where we want them to be, and we're very excited about the future.
That's fantastic. Maybe you could talk about, last time I had you on the show, Chris, I was surprised that, all the different services that the UPS store provides. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that as well. And Michael, if you want to jump in on that, that's fine as well.
Okay.
About our services that we offer?
Yeah, about your services and this, I guess the system overall, the UPS franchise system would be great as well if we could talk a little bit about that.
Not a problem. When you think about the UPS store and corporately our vision and the vision of our franchisees is we are out there primarily to serve small business owners. That is the largest segment of our customer base, and we do that by trying to make them feel not alone. Many business owners wear many hats, right? They're the chief financial officer, they're the CEO, they're the president, they're the clerk, they're everybody to their small business.
Sure.
The UPS store is basically a back office to these small business owners. Everything they need to make their business easier, from convenient solutions, the customer service we talked about, all the other things that we talked about, such as the digital printing, the shipping, the packing, mailbox services, notary services. In some of our stores we have passport photos and things like that.
Wow.
And we really act as a conduit for that small business owner to run their business the way they want to run their business.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it is interesting. All the services you provide and all the industries that you even seem to be part of, Chris. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that. Because I guess to tag you as part of one industry probably would not work, would it? Maybe we could talk a little bit about the industry or industries that you're part of. Do you want to talk about that, Michael, maybe?
Yeah, there's probably two major areas that we focus on. One's the packing and shipping, and the other is small business. I think everybody is seeing we buy stuff online, so we know that e-commerce is really growing. It's growing rapidly. With e-commerce comes packages, and with come packages we have packing and shipping. So we've really seen that take off in the last couple of years. Another major focus for us is just to be the small business resource in our communities. Chris covered a lot of things we do, from printing to shipping, notaries, office supplies. We can do postcards, business cards, posters. There's just so many things that we can do. So many times a small business owner who, as Chris said, wears many hats, he can walk through my door, any one of my 6 stores, and instead of making 3, 4, 5 stops on errands in the course of the day, we can knock a lot of those things out at one time. Many of them we know by name. They have established accounts with us. So in many cases they come in, they literally drop it on our counter, they turn and leave. And then we finish that job, we call them, we tell them it's done. They don't need to worry about it. 23 million small businesses in America. They're out there. So our goal really is to be a resource. And as Chris said, that back office to the small business owner. So we've grown in 21 years that I've been in the network. What we did, paper manifest charts 21 years ago, a lot of technology, a lot of new opportunities now that we're able to assist those small business owners. So,
it must be fantastic, Michael. And I get probably even I guess with your new clients or your new customers, I bet some of them they use your service and they probably say, wow, I didn't know you guys do that. Or, of course, your salespeople, asking questions. it must be interesting, that you can provide all those services. As you said, it's almost like a one-stop shopping corporate solution for, a lot of these small to maybe questions that we ask frequently on our shows. What is such a thing, a typical day like as a franchisee for the UPS store?
Well, I have in 6 stores, so my stores are different. 2 are traditional, 1's a university, 3 are hotel. So a typical store sees more of a regular pattern, sort of the morning rush, midday rush, evening rush, whether it's box holders coming and picking up mail, customers shipping packages. Consistently, for the most part, our customer counts and traffic are pretty even from day to day. Our staffing's pretty consistent from day to day. We're on, for instance, my hotel stores is dramatically different. There, a typical day for me, and in a hotel, we've worked very hard that I'm not just a store that happens to be inside a hotel. I'm another department. So I'm another department head in the hotel. And the guests in a hotel, we call them guests as opposed to customers.
Sure.
They see us as part of that hotel. So how we perform impacts that hotel's event service score and guest service score. So on a typical day, I may meet, whether it's a coordination meeting with other hotel departments, or maybe a pre-conference meeting with the actual clients, or we may be meeting with senior hotel staff to review the guest comments and the guest and event service scores that go on. And then after the meetings, I'm moving around the hotel, and I'm interacting with other department managers, directors, just doing all the different coordination that each group requires. Even though in a regular store our customers are all unique, they follow patterns. You ship a box, you pack a box, you make a copy. But in the events are vastly different. It might be a wedding, it might be a training session, it might be a board meeting. They start at different times, they have different requirements. So every client that comes into the hotel, we're going to adapt our services not only in terms of time, but where we deliver them and how we deliver them.
Which must be interesting for you, Michael, to have that diversity. I imagine must keep things very interesting for you, doesn't it?
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, that's one of the things I like about the hotel stores. A regular store, you get there 30 minutes early, you open the door up and turn the lights on, and you kind of wait for that first customer.
Sure.
Where my hotel stores, every day it's a different and a new challenge. So that really excites me with versus what I call my traditional or regular stores.
That's fantastic. I think we were able to pull Chris back in. You there, Chris?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That's okay. So, one of the things I wanted to get back to, Chris, was if you could tell us more about the franchising opportunities that the UPS store offers, that would be great.
Yeah, going back to our beginning, we started out as that helpful neighborhood convenient alternative to the post office. We wanted our franchise owners to live and work typically in the communities, to work in the communities they lived. And that's what I think is probably one of the most unique things about the UPS store. When you think about our traditional stores that we typically are located in shopping centers and business complexes, is you very seldom hear customers of other franchise systems say, at my location. When you talk to a customer of a UPS store, they say, well, my UPS store. They treat us very personally. The similar as a company may talk about their UPS driver. Everybody says my UPS driver. They say the same thing about our store. The personal relationship we have with our customers is incredible, I think, compared to many other franchise systems. But getting back to the topic of the different things we offer, obviously the traditional store, and they're located in the commercial complexes and shopping centers. But we also include stores inside of hotels, airports, some banks, shopping centers, university campuses, military bases, etc. And as you heard Michael say, he becomes part of that hotel. When we're in a hotel, they actually become a hotel. I've been to Michael's stores several times, And Michael looks like he could be the GM of that hotel when you meet Michael, because he looks, he dresses the part, he acts the part, and he is so professional with the hotels and the guests that he is just part of the hotel. So we're also into convention centers. We're a vital cog in the property's daily operation, as Michael explained to you. On military bases, we're convenient for our service members and the community that's able to come on base, and we help families stay in touch with their loved ones. College campuses, another valuable resource to students, faculty, staff, from mailbox services to the students to move-in, move-out type services, coming into campus, out of campus, and even some storage in some of the campuses that we're on. We allow students to do summer storage. Recently, we relaunched our rural program named Main Street.
Right.
And scaled down that version. We lowered the cost of entry for a prospect. And last year we opened 8 when we launched in May, and I think that's pretty significant, and we're probably going to do 12 to 15 this year in rural communities that were not previously serviced by the UPS store.
Wow, fantastic.
Very excited about that model.
So how many traditional or non-traditional locations are there across the country now, Chris, would you say?
I have over 170 right now, and that's always a focus of growth opportunities for us in our hotels, convention centers, et cetera.
That's fantastic. What about the requirements for a hotel location? Maybe, and both you gentlemen can talk about that one.
What's unique? We typically, when we want to put a full-service store in a hotel, first thing is very important. We will only award a franchise license to an existing owner. We want to put a store in a hotel because they need to know that the hotel is so different, and they need the background of a traditional store before they go into hotel. We look for hotels that are 500 rooms and higher, and 70% occupancy, good group room nights, a good base of group room nights, and some convention space. And we've also just recently developed another model that we refer to as the access model for hotels smaller than 500 rooms that may not require all the same full services as a full service store. But when we offer that to existing franchisees, that access model needs to be connected to an existing store. So that's what we look at, very broad of what we look at when we're going into a hotel.
And it sounds like an interesting experience. And listening to, Michael is talking about a typical day, in the traditional versus the non-traditional. It seems like an interesting transition, isn't it, from going from the traditional to the non-traditional and expanding the franchise, isn't it?
It is. There is a steep learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
How I process a package is the same, but you've got to come in, and each I have hotel stores with 2 major brands, and how those brands operate are different, how they interact with their guests are different. So you have to learn sort of that sort of feeling and processes, as well as all their processes. Their computer systems we have to learn.
Right.
So you can input, for instance, the guest filling. The 2 different brands have different names and terms for their processes. So you're learning those, and there's a different sense of urgency on the hotel side. Most cases, our guests or a customer in a regular store sends out a package, expects it to get there in several days. Where a hotel store, everything is right now. So it's a steep learning curve, but once I've sort of mastered it, I think I'm very comfortable with it.
And some of the benefits seem obvious, Michael, about opening a UPS store in a hotel location. But are there any other benefits that may not be so obvious?
Well, one of the things that jumps out is that we reach break even very quickly. In that the hotels that I've opened in, they have existing customers. One hotel has been open over 80 years plus, another about 12 years when we came on board. So they have existing guests, existing events on the calendars for years out. So day one, quite literally, my first hotel store, we took it over on a Friday afternoon, and Saturday morning we're delivering 200 boxes and making copies. and with that comes revenue. So that just drives the whole reaching break-even, reaching profitability that much sooner. The other thing that I like about it is that the locations are smaller. Typically, our stores are probably, I have one as small as 200 square feet. The perfect world is 500 square feet for the business center. We also have package rooms down, we call back of the house, where we store packages. Those are larger, maybe 800 square feet, maybe larger. But with a 400 square foot store compared to a 1,200 square foot store, my costs to open are going to be a third to a half or even less of a traditional store.
Wow.
You simply need fewer fixtures. You need less carpet. You need less paint. There's less labor. In my case, since I'm an existing store owner, some of my franchise fees are lower, and then I'm a multiple center owner. So some of those costs even go down. And there's other incentives as a multiple store owner that we're giving incentives and discounts with some of our vendors. So overall, my costs are easily less than half of a traditional store, and then you're making money faster. So I think it's a no-brainer.
It is. It's very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. Chris, as far as characteristics go, I mean, what do you look for then? You know, if one of your franchisees wants to open up a non-traditional location, is there anything that you specifically look for?
People like Michael. Can you hear the passion in his voice when he's talking about his business?
Absolutely, most definitely.
So that is one of the key things when we're looking for anybody to open one of our non-traditional stores. They have to have an entrepreneurial-like spirit. They have to have the passion that you hear in Michael's voice for running their own business, taking care of guests or customers, being able to follow processes, which is one reason we love veterans coming into our system.
Right.
And then love working with people in the public. I mean, it's not a lot of characteristics. If you have some core characteristics, as I outlined, you have the opportunity to do very well.
Wow, it's fantastic. So maybe we can talk a little bit about the future because we're running out of time. But I mean, what's next then for the UPS store, Chris? I mean, where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years down the road? And then I'll ask Michael the same question.
3 to 5 years as the franchisor down the road. We've been opening stores a little over 100 a year right now. So I don't expect that to slow. I do not want it to slow. Outside of any kind of economic downturn, I don't expect it to slow down. We've got 4,400 locations in the domestic U.S., a little over 350 in Canada, I believe. So we still have plenty of room for growth in the U.S., and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to look for models that support our customer base, such as the Main Street that we talked about was launched last year.
Right.
And we're always looking at our non-traditional, how we can do things differently with that. So we believe there's plenty of opportunities, and we don't plan on slowing down anytime soon.
That's fantastic. And Michael, how about yourself? Where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years down the road?
Ideally, I'm at maybe 10 to 12 stores, maybe one store per year, maybe two, with the right opportunities. And hopefully I'll start to think about retirement. You know, hire a GM and come in, only work 40 hours a week versus 60 or 70.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Chris, what's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Any websites they should go to?
Absolutely. The UPS Store franchise.com is the easiest way, and what we encourage everybody who wants to find out more, sign up for one of our webinars. We hold 2 webinars per week. There's no commitment in a webinar. You listen. You find out more about the UPS Store opportunity. You can type in questions that will be answered on the live webinar. About an hour of someone's time. And then if you decide that you want to move forward, you fill out a prospect profile, and we set an interview, and we begin the process of exploring the UPS Store opportunity in more depth. So we encourage every listener, everyone to come listen to one of the webinars and make the decision for themselves. We firmly believe that the UPS Store brand is one of the best franchises in the world.
That's fantastic. And I want to thank you again, Chris, for coming back to the show. And, Michael, I want to thank you for protecting and serving our country for many years and also coming on our show. And I'd like to already invite both you gentlemen back next year as you continue to grow. I think the whole thing is interesting with the traditional and non-traditional stores that UPS Stores is working on. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
It's my pleasure. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interest and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews, approaching that magic number 250, and during that time frame, you can imagine we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Last week we did a Franchise Rewind with Tariq Fareed, and Tariq is the founder of the Edible Arrangements franchise opportunity. And if you're new to franchising, or if you just started your franchise search, this will really put things in perspective as far as what makes a successful franchisee. So we're going to call this one the Franchise Secret. Do whatever this guy says, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. So again, enjoy this edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews.
Diversity too. It sounds like of your franchisees, Tariq, you know, in studying edible arrangements, you know, I mean, it sounds like it's been lawyers and accountants and just a nice mix, you know.
A very nice mix to a point, even to a point where it surprised us in the beginning. And I remember when we started franchising in the beginning, I had no franchise experience. I mean, I was a retailer, and I was making this product with my brother and delivering it. And you would have people coming up and saying, I want to buy a franchise. And, you know, Don could appreciate this because he's been here for a while. I remember talking to Michael Said and everyone. And, somebody would say, I'm a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. And so they go, wait a minute, you're going to go from a lawyer and cutting fruit? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
You know, and then we have some of these people in our system right now, and they're very, very successful business people. And I have the utmost admiration for them to, you know, where I kind of was hesitant, and I remember I always share a story with people that I had some people come in the beginning, and I was convincing them not to buy because I really didn't want them to fail.
Right.
And I thought they had good careers and things like that, but they turned out to be incredible franchisees where they own 5, 6, 7 stores, so they do great.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of if you just follow the system, no matter what your background is, and usually age might not have to do with it much either. Of course, the older you are, more experienced, maybe you have a little bit of an advantage, but really you just follow the system, you know, you train them and everything, a very high chance of being successful.
And that's really the secret. I mean, I have we do our discovery days, and I always try to share that with even the prospects. So whatever system you go into, there's a reason you're buying a franchise. And one of my most successful franchisees, who was our third store, I walked into his store after about a year of convincing him how to do it, and he always, he was a successful businessman before that, and he always gave me a bit of a hard time. And then, he kind of saw that we were going in a certain momentum, and he started to follow, and he sat in front of his whole crew one day and said, okay, guys, from now on, whatever these guys say goes. However they say it, we do it. We don't question it, and when their trainers come in or they come in, and he is the most successful franchisee in our system. He is single-handedly the most successful franchisee in our system. And all it is that as he's duplicated, his concept from one store to 2 to 3 to 4, he followed that simple formula. And, the burden was on us to make sure that we provide him the solutions, provide him the support, be it him, his managers, and from that he benefited. And he's, he may have 1 or 2 years of experience of running the stores. We had 5 or 6 by then. So that's exactly what it has done, and it does work every time.
Yeah, that's a great story, Tarek, because it's been a common theme on our show, Don, hasn't it? Where we've had some of the most successful franchisees to some pretty big systems, and they've all said the same thing, Tarek, is all they did was just follow the system. They didn't change anything, and became very successful. So that's great to hear.
And especially if it's working, if you're getting on board a system that is working, that is growing, what do they say? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
absolutely.
Why do anything? Just take advantage of it. And I always use that analogy of with some of our franchisees to say, I hate to take it down to this level, but it is kind of a kindergartner / 6th grader effect, where I've been in this building 6 years, so I kind of know every corner and the nook and cranny, and I know how the principal, what he likes and what he doesn't like. You need to learn, so let me teach you. So you're coming in, and then you see some incredible transformation. We have some incredible stories, and I'm sure every franchise system does. And the success that we have, it has to do with these great franchisees that we've had that have taken on and actually listened and applied some of the policies and procedures and technologies and other things that we created to make them succcessful.
I guess, Tarek, sometimes yourself or your staff, if you see a prospect maybe sometimes a little too entrepreneurial, I guess you really have to speak to them to let them know that it might not be a fit with your company.
We used to do. I remember in the beginning doing that a lot to let people know that I love your passion, I love your energy and everything, but you keep talking about your experiences and how you've done stuff. There may be a bit of a conflict there, or we may always get into a bit of a tussle. So you have to look at this. We have systems and standards, and we've experimented with these. We've actually mastered them, and we've proven them at multiple times. So you may want to turn around and try it a different way, but it's really not going to work. More, not necessarily only for yourself, but for the total success of the system, because there is consistency and everything, and we know what's going to work. So we have those conversations, but once you get to a certain number, a certain mass in your system, that comes up less and less. And I think there's a class of prospects or franchisees or new owners that start coming to you after a while to say, look, I want to duplicate what you've done. How do I do it? And they don't want to turn around and start from scratch. And that was great when we started to get a lot of existing franchise prospects, meaning they were in other systems, and when they came into our system, they found success very, very quickly because they had gone through those processes, and we gave them some tools that they did not have before, and they saw some benefits that they had not seen before, or had already gone through the process where we didn't really need to explain, and they turned their stores around very, very quickly.